Hey guys, it's Gretchen and welcome back to my channel. First of all, I apologize if I sound weird today, but my allergies are acting up like crazy. And I'm not someone who normally suffers from allergies, so yay summertime. For today's video, I thought I would do a Pearson Aftercare type of video. I do have one planned of how to actually clean your new Pearson because, spoiler alert, I have a new Pearson coming soon. But obviously I don't have it yet, so I don't really want to do that video quite yet. But instead, for today's video, I thought I would do one that kind of centers more on what you should avoid with your Pearson Aftercare. This is either for a new Pearson or it's a Pearson that you've had for a while and are still taking care of. These are just some factors, some items, some blah 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 that you should avoid when caring for your Pearson. This ranges from actual like physical products to just things to keep in mind that you shouldn't do when caring for your Pearson, so it varies. I'll start with the more physical products you should avoid. So the first thing you should avoid is rubbing alcohol and hydrogen peroxide. And yes, they are two different things because for some reason people don't know that. So despite the fact that both have antiseptic properties, they can actually slow down your healing process. This is because the chemicals in both products attack the bad, bacteria, but they also attack the good cells that are trying to help heal. Both are also extremely drying, which you do not want for a new Pearson. Rubbing alcohol has also been known to cause burns on skin, so yeah, you definitely don't want that. And it can also cause inflammation, which again, you're trying to avoid. Hydrogen peroxide can also cause scabbing, so like, if you ever get a cut and then you put some hydrogen peroxide on it, it bubbles up, does that fun little thing, and then it scabs over. You don't want a scab on your Pearson. That's just, you don't. Another thing to avoid is dial soap, or basically any antibacterial soap. So I have to look down at my notes for this one because I'm not gonna remember the chemical, but there is a specific chemical in this type of soap that you want to avoid putting on a Pearson. And that chemical is triclosan. Now I am not a sciencey person, so this was just in my research that is like the primary chemical in this type of soap of why you shouldn't use it. And the main reason why is because that specific ingredient in the soap is used so often that your body has essentially become immune to it. You always see like kills 99.9% of germs. It's not entirely true because your body gets used to certain things over time, and so does the bacteria, and so it doesn't necessarily kill it because it's like, I'm immune to this, I'm used to it, it's okay. These types of soaps can also be really harsh based on fragrance or maybe the coloring of the soap, so yeah, just avoid them. My favorite brand to use, if you're curious, is Dr. Bronner's, and I know a lot of like my tattoo artists use it, a lot of my piercers use it. I don't know why I'm saying a lot because I only have like one tattoo artist and like 2 piercers, so not quite sure why I'm saying a lot, but all 3 of them use Dr. Bronner's, and it's a soft and gentle and clean soap that you can use. So if you're going to use a soap, especially as a starter one, that's a good one. Like even the Provon one that I really like, probably not the best as on a new Pearson. It's definitely fine, like once the Pearson's been around for a while and it's just like you need the occasional cleanup, but probably not the best for a new Pearson. Next is Neosporin, or basically ointments of any kind, so like Vaselines and stuff like that. Do not use them. And the main reason why you shouldn't use these types of products is because it makes the area moist. Ugh, God, do you know how much it took for me to say that word? I hate that word. It makes the area damp, it keeps it wet. You don't want that for a new Pearson. You don't want it to be over dry, but you don't want it to be moist. Ugh. So just avoid ointments. And also something to keep in mind is that bacteria actually thrives in environments like that. So like the damp, the moisture that comes, yada yada yada. Bacteria thrives in that. Again, you don't want your Pearson to be super dry, but you don't want it to be moist. I've said it 3 times now. That is my quota for like the year. And another product that, I didn't even consider until I started doing research is Bactine. And Bactine kind of works similar to hydrogen peroxide. So it kills the bacteria, which is what you want. but it also kills all those healthy, all those good cells that are helping to heal the site, and they can't because this kills pretty much everything. Bactina is also not meant for like long-term use. It's for like a quick shot type thing if you truly need it. So like any prolonged use can also cause it to become a skin irritant, which you do not want. And so a more broad-based item is don't use items or materials that aren't single use. So like if you clean your piercing and then you dry it, don't clean it with a towel. Use like a paper towel or even a Q-tip or something like that, because then it can just be tossed away. Do not use a towel because those fibers can get caught in your piercing, as well as they harbor bacteria. No matter how many times you wash it, it harbors bacteria. Now, a lot of people will say don't use Q-tips or like cotton rounds because those fibers can get caught, but that's a more of a use at your own discretion type thing. I personally use Q-tips. I've never had a problem with them, but do keep that in mind that those stray fibers can break off. So 3 other things to keep in mind or to avoid with a new piercing. 1, unhygienic bodies of water. They tell you all the time, like even you know, whether you're getting a tattoo or a piercing, don't submerge yourself in unhygienic bodies of water. That's pretty much anything. You don't know what bacteria is harbored in there. It also makes the area way too saturated. You don't want that. If you do happen to go swimming or anything like that, or need to be submerged, use one of those bandages that are like water tight, water sealed tight. Just use that. Don't over clean. Yes, this is possible, but if you over clean, it kind of does the same thing as under cleaning. It becomes a skin irritant, your piercing can't heal on its own, and it's a hot mess. You don't want that. So like roughly 2 to 3 times a day, maybe. Some people say just 1 time a day. I always do 2 times a day. First thing in the morning, first thing in the evening. That's just what I have found to work for me. Find something that works for you, but you don't need to be cleaning it 8 times a day. And the final thing I'm gonna hit on is do not move your jewelry around, despite what Claire's may tell everyone. You do not need to twist the jewelry to make sure that it doesn't like heal around, like the skin doesn't heal around the jewelry. You don't need to do that. Materials have gotten to be better quality, and it's just no need for that. Yes, you may need to like push it up to clean around it a little bit, but you don't need to be sitting there twisting it or anything like that. That's unnecessary, and it also continues to cause damage to that wound site. Also, please don't pick at the discharge there. Just kind of when you're cleaning the area, it'll slough off on its own. Don't sit there and pick it. It's like picking a scab. It'll never heal. So those are just some suggestions that I have for things to avoid with your piercing aftercare. There's a lot more things to avoid than there are things to do. Unfortunately, that's how that goes. Just stick with your saline, you know, your solutions, your salt soaks, some calmer soaps, but just let the body do what it needs to. Don't touch it. I probably should have mentioned that too. Things to avoid piercing aftercare. Don't touch your piercing. Just don't touch it. Don't sit there and play with it, obviously. You don't know what bacteria is on your hands. If you have anything else to add to this list, leave them in the comments below. I'm sure there are a few things that I missed, but these are just ones that kind of came to my head at the time. But if you've got any other suggestions, leave them in the comments below. I know we'd all appreciate to have more tips and tricks, especially when it comes to piercing aftercare. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big ol' thumbs up. Go on down there and hit that subscribe button wherever it may be, because I don't know. Even though I do, this is just my shtick now. Also hit that notification bell in case you want to know when I upload, and in case YouTube wants to let you know when I upload, because I would really appreciate it. And until next time, bye guys.